Thomas Nash, vosotros lo veis aquí una persona muy joven, pero en realidad es una persona importante. Él no quiere que lo diga, pero era candidato al Nobel de la Paz este año y se valoró su candidatura, pero al final pues eligieron a otra persona de otra raza que probablemente lo conozcáis. Y bueno, él es coordinador de la red internacional de ONGs contra bombas de racimo, que hace justo un año, el 3 de diciembre del año pasado, consiguió un tratado de desarme. Los tratados de desarme son muy difíciles de conseguir, son muy poco frecuentes, entonces es una cosa importante. Hace 10 años, 12 años, conseguíamos el de las minas antipersonas, tenemos otro ahora, y bueno, hemos pensado, aprovechando que la Fundació per la Pau pues lo traía a Barcelona, era una buena oportunidad de reflexionar pues en qué momento estamos de seguridad humana, de tratados de desarme y qué cosas podemos aprender de aquí. El tratado no es perfecto, los que estuvimos en Dublín pues sabemos que fue difícil la negociación y tiene puntos débiles. Entonces yo creo que Tomás también en su intervención los mencionará y a ver de qué manera en el futuro pues esos puntos débiles se pueden controlar o pueden realmente ser un problema. Y bueno, nada más decir que tiene experiencia diplomática y es una persona, pues, como digo, importante, estamos muy contentos de que esté aquí.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you to everybody for coming. Sorry I can't speak Catalan, and I could try and speak Spanish, but I think some of my ideas would get lost. So in the interests of being coherent and communicating what I would like to communicate, I'll speak in English, if that's okay. On Friday, we did an event with Jordi at the university. I'm not sure how many people who are here now were there on Friday. Is there a sort of indication? Okay, so not so many. Okay, so on Friday I spoke about some of the lessons learned in terms of the process and the work, the method of the civil society campaign. I can send that presentation to everyone here, but today I thought I would talk about some of the, well, really perhaps only two of the key, I think quite visionary provisions in the Convention on Cluster Munitions. Two provisions that do not exist really elsewhere in international law. Two provisions that are very different from, that are key points of difference from the treaty banning landmines. And as you probably know, the Convention on Cluster Munitions is almost 90% identical to the treaty banning landmines. So I'll talk about those 2 points, but perhaps just by way of introduction, not knowing exactly the amount of interest in the convention and how much you've all been following it, I'll just go through a very short history of where we've been and where we are now and where we're going. So, cluster bombs, they've been a point of concern for the public since really the Vietnam War. There have been efforts to control them since the 1970s. There was a proposal to prohibit cluster bombs at a conference in Switzerland in 1974 and in 1976. Nothing happened. Proposals were blocked. We went through the 80s and 90s where the weapons were used in Lebanon in the 1970s and 80s. They were used in the Balkans. They were used in Afghanistan in '99, in Kosovo in particular in 1999. They were used in Afghanistan 2001, 2002. They were used in Iraq in 2003. They were used massively in Lebanon in 2006. And this is where the civil society groups began to get some traction, began to get some movement with other governments. The Cluster Munition Coalition, the NGO campaign, was developed really by a number of people from within the international campaign to ban landmines, used a very similar model, loose-knit coalition with a common message and a central coordinating staff. Didn't do much as a coalition for around 3 years. Well, I say didn't do much, didn't make much progress. There was a lot of work going on, but nothing really to show for it until 2006, when, following the decision by Belgium to prohibit cluster bombs at a national level, and then the decision by Israel to massively use cluster bombs in Lebanon, there was a general sense of urgency and sort of responsibility amongst many people within the international community to act. So we had Norway, who was committed at a government level, at a political level, to achieve an international ban. They launched an international process out of frustration with the traditional United Nations-based disarmament forum, which is based on consensus and which is therefore dominated by the big powers in a kind of realpolitik scenario. Norway launched this process. Within 18 months, we had drafted, negotiated, and adopted a comprehensive new piece of international law. It's very fast, very compressed, even more compressed process than the Ottawa process on anti-personnel mines. And it was signed last year, about a year ago, in Oslo. We had 94 signatures there. Since then, we've had another 9 signatures, so we're at 103 today. Of those, we've had 24 that have already ratified, which is fast in terms of other international treaties, but not as fast as we would like. Spain is one of the countries that has ratified, thanks to you. And we need 6 more ratifications before we will trigger entry into force. And that will happen on the first day of the 6th month after the month in which the 30th ratification is deposited. So we hope we'll get the remaining 6 ratifications next month, before the end of the year, we hope. If so, the day of entry into force will be the 1st of June. If we get them in January, might also be likely, then entry into force day will be 1st of July.